happening, people? It's your girl Mina. Welcome back to the channel. You already know what it is. Big up to everyone locked in on this relatively quiet Monday afternoon, if you want to say that. Be sure to hit the like button, guys, and be sure to subscribe if you are new here. Well, what do we have? We've got some news to talk about. INEOS linked to new managers because they decided to pull the plug on their manager. They done it. INEOS did it. Omar Barada and Dan Ashworth, I didn't think they would do it now. We're going to talk about it. And I want to hear what everybody has to think or has to say about Erik Ten Hag departing as Manchester United manager. Now, I've got a hot take, which is if Erik Ten Hag had left after the FA Cup final, I think he should have left then on his own accord because he could have just bowed out gracefully. I feel like the last 3 months has been unfathomable. Is that even a word? I don't know. But that's how I feel over the last 3 months since the season inevitably has started. Erik Ten Hag finds himself unemployed and off the back of I can't believe it's the West Ham loss that is what triggered it. But of course, I don't think it's the West Ham loss in isolation. I think it's a build-up of stuff and it's a build-up of all the performances, all the results over the last couple months. But I'm just shocked that it wasn't the Spurs one that kind of triggered it. Because since the Spurs game, how many games have Man United actually gone on to win? Not many. So really, it was just another couple of weeks wasted under Erik Ten Hag. Now, Ruud van Nistelrooy will become the interim coach. And I called this, guys, months ago. When they appointed Ruud, or when it was announced that they were looking to appoint Ruud van Nistelrooy as the Manchester United manager, I told you guys, it is going to be for something like this. When they eventually decide to sack Erik Ten Hag, it's going to be like that. And personally, I'm not going to lie, I will have to save my opinions on Ruud van Nistelrooy in terms of whether he's the right manager for the job or not. But I'm happy to see that INEOS are looking at other managers, and equally so, I'm happy to see that they are looking at managers that they might have to pay for. Now, it's been suggested that Sir Jim Ratcliffe has said, according to sources, that they will pay if they have to. You want the best in class, as much as INEOS like to brag about it, then you have to pay. It's as simple as that. But I just feel like Erik Ten Hag and INEOS should have allowed this relationship to end in the summer, because then I feel like a lot of fans would have had a lot more of a personal connection, or they would have some love for Erik Ten Hag off the back of the end of last season. That everyone would have been like, you know what, it was a crap season, but we won the FA Cup, and you've taken the L and you've kept it moving. Much love, all the best. But that's not the case. Unfortunately, that is not the case. And now I feel like Erik Ten Hag's record at Manchester United will be haunted, and will kind of a lot of it. Yeah, we'll look at the FA Cup, we'll look at the Carabao Cup, but everyone's going to look at the last 18 months and be like, how did you get progressively worse with results and with performances? How have you been bad for 12 months straight? 12 months straight, Manchester United have been poor. How was that even possible? Whereas if he had left in the summer, I feel like everyone would have been like, you know what? We wish you all the best. But you got fans celebrating Erik Ten Hag leaving. Fans are celebrating it. And then there's a side of the fans that are saying, you know what, why are we celebrating it already? Like, it's a cycle. It's just a cycle. But do you guys feel like this is what clubs should do? You look at the clubs, like Real Madrid is a perfect example. It don't work, you get sacked. It don't work, you get sacked until you find the right thing. Big up to everyone in the chat. Anthony says, I've lost a lot of bets, brother. Don't bet. This is why you shouldn't bet. Because I thought they did have the balls to sack him, but I paid all my dues with a smile on my face. And Tyler released new music. This was a great Monday. You know what's crazy, guys? I didn't even know he got sacked. So the news got broken at about 11:45, was it, UK time in the morning? I was stuck in traffic, driving home. I didn't even look at my phone. I didn't look at Twitter. I don't have news notifications on my phone. I was literally just going about my morning. And I think it got to about 12 midday, about 20 minutes after the news broke is when I found out that it broke, because my cousin added me in a family group chat and said, Ten Hag's been sacked. And that's how I saw it. That's how I saw it. Other than that, I was just being oblivious to it all. I ain't celebrating. I can't afford to, but I've been Erik Ten Hag out since last pre-season, so I'm happy. Damn, you lot all saying happy Ten Hag out. Are you happy? Guys, let me know in the chat. Are you lot happy that Erik Ten Hag has left? We're going to dissect the news, obviously. Of course, there's a lot of dossiers coming out. The Times have done one. Manchester Evening News have done one. But I'm waiting for the Athletic, because you know when the Athletic drops an in-depth article, guys, you know we're going to be sitting here like this. We're gonna dive into it. That's what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for the Athletic. I'm waiting for Carl Anker. I'm waiting for Laurie Whitwell. I'm waiting for them guys to do the in-depth article about everything that happened, why he got sacked, the conversations that went down, etc., etc. That is what I'm waiting for. Everyone's saying that you're happy. Damn, everybody's saying that they're happy. Damn, you see, this is what I'm saying, by the way. This is what I'm saying. Erik Ten Hag, had he left in the summer, he would have gone out a lot more gracefully than the way that he's gone out right now. And this is actually down to him and INEOS, because I feel like both of them should have read the room. But equally saying that, for me, I got questions about INEOS. And the reason why I got questions about INEOS is because Brailsford, Jean-Claude Blanc, Jim Ratcliffe, them guys made a decision without waiting to consult with Barada and Ashworth. Now, again, we're not really privy to know whether they consulted with Barada and Ashworth, but I feel like when Barada and Ashworth did the interview before the Liverpool game with the Athletic, and the main thing that they did was kind of distance themselves from the decision to keep Erik Ten Hag, and they said, listen, that decision, it wasn't made by us, it was made by people before we came into our roles in July. Then I need to know why INEOS have decided to waste 3 months of Manchester United season. That's what I need to know. I don't care about the money, how much it costs to sack him, all of that. I don't care about that. I just need to know INEOS, why they wasted the first 3 months of the season by keeping him when they knew that they didn't want him. That is just a waste. That is honestly just a waste. Now, obviously, Erik Ten Hag here says 17 million in the bag. Yeah, he's laughing to the bank. And you know what? I really feel like do you guys feel like, Unai Emery, when he left Arsenal, his coaching career wasn't kind of tainted by his stint at Arsenal? Because he got a job at Villarreal, he got a job at Villa, and now he's doing well with Villa. Do you feel like this stint for Erik Ten Hag, especially the last 18 months, will kind of taint his coaching career and how everyone looks at it? Because really and truly, outside of Man United and Ajax, all the other clubs that he's been at has been smaller clubs, right? And even Ajax, I'm not going to say Ajax is a small club, because they're not. They're one of the biggest Dutch teams. But in terms of the level of pressure from Ajax versus Manchester United is kind of different. I don't know if Ten Hag will ever get a job again in the Premier League in the top clubs, but I don't think he's going to fail I think he'll get a job. I think he'll get a coaching job. I actually think he might go back to the Netherlands. Maybe, I feel like his way of communicating is not fitted for Italy. It's not really fitted for France. I feel like he should just go back to the Netherlands. Big up to Riri, says, Minna, I'm not completely sold that he's the only issue that is wrong with this team, but this is the first step to get to the actual root of the problem at this club, because it's not just a manager issue. Facts. Tualumba says, even when the next manager fails, we will want him out and on to the next until we find the right one. Faisal says, I believe Ruud will do good. Worry he may get the job permanently. They can't give him a job permanently based on this. Like, if he goes on a good run, INEOS cannot just give him that based on that. When Alonso leaves Bayer Leverkusen, he might go there. Yeah, I think Bayer Leverkusen. I think Alonso is written to go to Real Madrid. I think Ancelotti's going to leave this summer. Can we please thank Dallo for doing what needed to be done? People are saying it's an inside job. I don't know. I don't want to paint players with that kind of brush by saying that they do things on purpose to get a manager out. But it was kind of reported, like, and you lot know, yeah, if you're on social media and you see like the news kind of breaking in real time, you see the way journalists are coming out with sources immediately after the news kind of broke. Oh, apparently it was reported that senior players weren't really sold on Erik Ten Hag from the first season. And like I said, it's like clockwork. The news just comes out, and information. Take it with a pinch of salt. You lot believe what you want to believe. If you feel like some journalists are not reputable, they ain't got a good reputation, then don't take their information. Take it with a pinch of salt. Is Marcel doing okay? He's all right, man. He messaged me earlier. What did he say? Let me pull up the message that he said. He said, Sis, I'm hurting, man. Listen, I knew this was coming. It hurts. That's literally all he said. That's all he said. I'm sure Marcel will bounce back. I'm sure Marcel will bounce back. Big up to Aminor with the super chat, man. Thank you so much, Aminor. I appreciate it. It says Minna, LVG was sacked after FA Cup final, and INEOS did not want to do the same mistake. Ruud is not the guy. Get Amarim or Inzaghi. I am on INEOS watch. I don't think Inzaghi's gonna come in. I can't lie. I do. There's a part of me that does think it could, like, Amarim will be up there. But listen, INEOS need to write their own story. This thing that they didn't want to sack him, because LVG got sacked after the FA Cup. LVG got sacked by different people in terms of who made the decision. INEOS need to write their own story. They need to write their own script. They can't go off of past things and decisions that's been made in the past and be like, oh, you know what, we can't do that because that was done in the past. They've wasted 3 months of United's season. And like, guys, I understand everyone's kind of happy with, you know, the outcome today, and it's actually very unfortunate, because why should anybody want anyone to lose their job? I mean, he's going to be fine. He's not like the rest of us that's suffering from a cost of living crisis. He's walking to the bank with 17 million in his back pocket. He's going to be all right. But in terms of INEOS, if they knew Erik Ten Hag was not their guy, unless the manager that they did not want, the manager that they wanted was not available, for me, there's no reason, and it's actually kind of negligent for them to trigger a 1-year extension and be like, you know what, stay for 2 years. Because now they've just wasted 3 years of Manchester United's season, guys. This 3 months could be the difference between finishing 8th and finishing 3rd or 4th. Not saying that United could finish 3rd, but with the squad that they have, they should be able to at least compete within the top 6. Like, anyways, but let's get into this. Let's get into Erik Ten Hag's time at Manchester United, because 128 games, all competitions, and he's still got a positive win record, guys. But the positive win record is heavily diluted by his first season or so. Now, again, his losses as well. I feel like over the course of the last 12 months, that loss number went up and up and up, and even this season it's gone up and up and up. But this is the kind of numbers that you look at, guys, and I feel like if you look at this, you'll be like, oh, so why did they sack him? Why did they sack him? You had to be there in the moment to realize how bad it was. I genuinely feel like five years from now, we might look back at this decision, and people that probably weren't there game in, game out are going to be like, oh, he was one of the best managers, bro, because they don't remember what it was like in that moment. Because for me, the last 18 months of Erik Ten Hag football in particular has been the worst football I've seen ever for Manchester United. And don't talk to me about, oh, you know, when Sir Alex Ferguson came in, blah, blah. I was a child then. I don't even think I was born, guys. But in terms of my memory of watching Manchester United, this has to be the worst 18 months of football that I've seen for Manchester United. In particular, the 12 months, the last 12 months let's go 18 months, because if we say 18 months, that takes us back to the 7-0. Starting from the 7-0 against Liverpool, from then onwards, it was horrendous football. But Man United managed to scrape by towards the end of the season. The next season starts, and it just got worse. And the worst thing about last season in particular, guys, it just wouldn't stop. And you know when sometimes you feel like, you know, should I give this example? You lot, man, my ethnic people, if you've ever been beaten up by your parents, yeah, you know, sometimes you think they're about to stop, but then they carry on. That's what it felt like last season. It's like it's getting worse and worse and worse, and you think it's about to stop, and then it's about to get worse again, and it just continues. That's how I feel about the last 12 months of Manchester United football under Erik Ten Hag. And for me, the most damning piece of evidence is not Erik Ten Hag's post-match comments. It's not about players' attitude on the pitch. For me, it's the fact that Erik Ten Hag could not get a tune out of even his own players that he signed, or he pushed for, or that he protested to sign. He could not even improve them and make them look like worthy players on the pitch. And I think that's what kind of highlights the difference between a decent coach and a great coach. And unfortunately, for the last 12 months, I just feel like it's not been a good coaching atmosphere. It's not been a good coaching situation. If you look at, like I said, the record, like I said, like this, 128 games. On the face of it, it doesn't look that bad. 72 wins. But it's the manner in which those 36 games were lost. It's the manner in which those 20 draws happened. It's the manner in which some of those 72 games that were won. It's all about, I think, in real time. And then you look at the transfer window. You look at the transfer window and the players that Man United have signed under Erik Ten Hag. Did you know, guys, by the way, fun fact, of course, I'm sure you all know, but fun fact, Lenny Yoro hasn't played a competitive game under Erik Ten Hag. So out of all these players, he's the only one that hasn't played a competitive game. You look at all these signings that Manchester United have made, guys. And since Erik Ten Hag took charge of Manchester United, he individually has spent the second most money. Now, Chelsea is an interesting one because we know what happened with Chelsea. Their new ownership came in and was just moving mad in every transfer window, right? And even in that period of Erik Ten Hag being the Manchester United manager and spending 616 million, Chelsea had how many different managers? So if you look at everything else and just look at also the players, like I said, that Erik Ten Hag has signed, the fact that he wasn't even able to improve them and make them look better, game in, game out, for me is one reason why he was obviously on. He was under the lights for INEOS. INEOS were on, they were watching him, and rightfully so, because you can't spend 600 million across 3 windows and not be able to get a tune out of at least 3 of those players. You spent 600 million on over 15, 16 players, and you can't even get a tune out of 3 players at the least where they actually look good game in, game out. And for me, that goes down to coaching. And I've said this before as well. In terms of your style of football, I tweeted it after the news came out. I said, listen, this was inevitable. Thank you for the cups. But you've been unable to implement your style and your philosophy and get people to buy into it. Get fans and players to buy into it. For me, that just shows your shortcomings. That's it. We will remember the FA Cup. That was a great time. We will remember the Carabao Cup. That was a great time. But you have to look at everything, I think, from a bird's eye view and kind of analyze I think you have to look at it by analyzing the entire situation rather than just looking at it for certain parts. But look at this list, for example, guys. Can we really say any of these players are a success? Like, honestly speaking, guys, look at this list. Can you tell me maybe, even if I say to you guys, tell me 3 players that are a success? Even then, I'm like, is that really the case? 3, just name 3 players. I can't name 3 players who have been successful in this list. Manuel Ugarte, guys, yeah? Manuel Ugarte cannot even get a run of games. And I don't care if I have question marks about Ugarte on the ball, right? But Manuel Ugarte was probably one of Man United's best players midweek. And then he can't sniff a game on the weekend. Who else? Casemiro was being hung out to dry last season because of the philosophy, the style of football. Because of the style of football, Casemiro was struggling. This year, I think he looks a bit slightly better, but I still think United will have to go out and sign a new player in replacement of him. Anthony, you don't know where I stand with Anthony. United should have never signed Anthony. But hey, they did, and they spent 85 million. Rasmus Højlund, the price tag, big question mark. We've spent over 100 million on 2 strikers, and yet every game we're looking at where the goal's going to come from. Mason Mount, well, you guys see how that's going. If I was INEOS, I would be so ruthless and just terminate his contract. Pay him out, give him the money. It is what it is. Money grows on trees, guys. Because Mason Mount, unfortunately, and I actually feel a bit bad for Mason Mount, I kind of feel bad for Mason Mount because I can imagine how difficult it is that your body's not doing what you asked it to do. It could be frustrating. I said the same thing about Martial. I felt bad for Martial with his injury problems. But I just think Manchester United need to be ruthless. I think Manchester United just need to be ruthless. Show that you have this no tolerance for whatever it is that we don't want to have a tolerance for. Lenny Yoro, haven't seen him play. Lisandro Martinez, I will say he's been okay. Andre Onana this season, I think, has been one of United's better players. But, I'm comparing him to last season, so he had to improve on last season. Otherwise, I would have been on Onana watch as well. Matthias de Ligt, we've brought him in to do, I don't even know what it is that Erik Ten Hag had him doing. Joshua Zirkzee, there's question marks on that signing. I think he's a good player, but again, was he a Ten Hag signing? Was he an INEOS signing? I think he was an INEOS signing. Nazir Mazraoui, I think he's a good right back. Tyrell Malacia, I thought he was a good backup left back option. I never really had him down as a starter. Christian Eriksen was a free player and has been one of Man United's better players this season, despite the fact that Erik Ten Hag is running him into the ground. Big up to OJ, says, big up Mina and the chat, we're finally free. Don F says, new manager should bench Bruno. Damn, is that a hot take? Is that a hot take? Firestar says Onana was definitely his worst transfer. Damn, that's a bit harsh. That's a bit harsh. Garnacho, Martinez, and Dalot before this season. I mean, Dalot wasn't really his signing, though. Dalot wasn't really his signing. What would you include as a successful transfer? What factors makes a player successful? I think for me, how would you guys deem it as a successful transfer? I take a lot of things into consideration. I take into consideration their impact in the team, if they are like playing regularly, or when they are playing, whether they have a regular kind of, if they're not playing regularly, when they do play, are they having an impact? So if you are, like, in basketball terms, guys, there's sixth man of the year. That if you are the sixth man, or you are the bench option, the guy that comes off the bench to impact the game for Manchester United, are you having an impact, or are you just a freeloader? That's one thing that I judge signings on. Number two, I also judge them on how they play. If you are praised for certain attributes, for example, Ugarte, I think Ugarte is good in breaking down the opponent in transition. I think he should be sitting, if Ugarte plays, I think he should be sitting directly in front of the back line and should not be progressing the ball, should not be getting forward. However, if he's playing in a system that is going to require him to get forward all the time, all we're going to see is flaws. And that doesn't highlight his profile and the type of player he is. So that's kind of how I judge the signing. So I look at all of these signings and I take into consideration, the time that they've been at Manchester United. Have they been impactful? Whether they're coming off the bench, whether they are a starter. Have they improved year on year? The players that were here in Erik Ten Hag's first season, have they improved in their third season? The players that were signed last season, have they improved from this season? Like that is kind of how I measure it. And that's why I said, I look at Onana and I think Onana has been okay. Because he's improved on last season. But this is a marathon. It's not a sprint. The season is a marathon. It's not a sprint. I can't judge Onana just off of the 3 months. I need to judge him off the entirety of the season. But if we're going off of what happened last season, he's definitely made some slight improvements. How do you think Ruud will approach setting up the team? Good question, because I got it somewhere here. This is how he used to set up at PSV. This is how Ruud used to set up at PSV. He used to have his fullbacks quite advanced. He used to have, if you guys watched, it was Xavi Simons. He had Cody Gakpo. He had Ibrahim Sangare as a DM. And funny enough, I used to watch PSV at this time because I really liked Gakpo and I really liked Ibrahim Sangare. And funny enough, both of them have now gone on to Premier League teams and I don't really like them anymore. So I used to watch PSV quite a bit when Ruud was the manager. And this is how he used to set up quite often. This kind of high press to retain possession. But I think under Ruud at PSV, they were a lot more tidier with possession. They weren't, for me, like what Manchester United have been in recent times, hot potato. Like it's like they give the ball away to win it back, give the ball away to win it back. That's how I think Ruud will kind of set up. Here's an example of how he used to set up as well with different type of players. If you don't remember, he had Branthwaite, he had Teze at right back, who was a right centre back as well, so he could play on the right as well. He had the Moroccan player Sabiri, he had Gakpo, he had Xavi Simons playing sometimes as a centre forward, as a false nine. Gakpo would sometimes transition into the middle, and they would alternate, because I used to see Xavi Simons sometimes playing in the 10. I used to see him playing out on the left-hand side. Watch his masterclass, Coach's Voice. There's a video on YouTube. It's the Coach's Voice. He did a video breaking it down, and he talked about, obviously, the importance of his centre-backs being able to play out from the back, etc. Go and watch that, because that's a very good video as well. And I'm pretty sure you can find lots of articles out there that kind of analyze what Ruud van Nistelrooy, how he kind of sets up. I'm sure you lot will be able to find it. Let's get onto this though. Let's get onto the kind of topic of discussion now that Erik Ten Hag's gone, because nobody's now talking about Ten Hag needs to go. Everyone's now talking about, all right, who's on the horizon? Manchester United are linked to quite a few managers. As of right now, they are linked to quite a few managers. Now, Man United have approached several candidates, including Julian Nagelsmann and Thomas Frank. Xavi was sounded out, but there's been no direct contact despite suggestions of a meeting in Barcelona. It's unclear if he would change his plans and take any job mid-season. So Xavi reportedly, and I spoke about this, I think it was like a week ago when I spoke about Xavi. He left his role in Barcelona. Of course, we all know that he left his role at Barcelona, but he left with the intention of 1 year out from football. And also he left with the intention to never return back to Spain to coach football again. So now Manchester United find themselves in a position where if Xavi is the favorited one, are they going to let Ruud keep the job until the summer and then appoint Xavi to come in at the end of the season? Or are they going to go out and pay a release clause for somebody like Ruben Amorim? Now, Ruben Amorim is another player that another manager, that Manchester United like, that INEOS are interested in. And reportedly, Jim Ratcliffe has underlined that Manchester United will pay for a new manager if they have to. So approaching a candidate that's in a job currently is no issue to him. He will push for that. Because we've kind of seen this notion of, oh, Manchester United are not going to want to play a release clause, blah, blah, blah. Listen, they missed out on Thomas Tuchel. I didn't want Thomas Tuchel, but they've missed out on Thomas Tuchel. They've missed out on De Zerbi. They cannot afford now to miss out on someone that they genuinely want. Like one manager that, like, for me, I'm gonna keep it a buck, guys. This is who I want. This is who I want. Bring me Nagelsmann. But I don't know if it's likely to happen. He's got his job at the German national team until the World Cup at the least. There's no kind of guarantee that he might want to return to club football anytime soon. But there are other managers in that kind of conversation. There's the Xavis, there's the Ruben Amorims. Thomas Frank is probably one name that pops up to me that I look at in comparison to the others, and I think, okay, I wasn't really warming up to the idea before, but I'm quite happy with the list of names that I've seen. I'm not gonna lie, I'm quite, like, we need to accept that we're never gonna get a Sir Alex Ferguson again. That is one thing that we have to accept. But the managers that Manchester United are linked to at the moment, I don't think it's the worst. I personally don't think it's the worst list. I don't think it's the worst list of managers. I think it's a good kind of balance of managers. And also, all those managers have their own credentials. Like they deserve. They have every reason to be linked to the job, is what I'm trying to suggest. Now, TalkSport are suggesting that Julian Nagelsmann is open to joining Manchester United, who have shown an interest in him, and they've also said that he is keen to return to club football. So I just said that I don't know if there's any guarantee if he wants to return to club football or not, but it's kind of been suggested that he's quite keen to do so. Maybe he's not enjoying international football. Now, another name that's popped up, but again, taking it with a pinch of salt, is that Manchester United have not ruled out a potential return and a formal approach for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer amid the possibilities that they could be restricted to managerial free agents. Now, again, during this time, guys, we are going to have to accept that there's going to be a lot of news, and sometimes the news really might contradict itself. You know, one journalist might say one thing, another journalist might say the other thing. We have to take everything with a pinch of salt, unless it's coming from a David Ornstein, is where I kind of draw the line. If it's coming from David Ornstein, then I'm going to be like, you know what, this is legit. But everything else, you know, whoever it's coming from, Chris Wheeler, Samuel Lockhurst, Ben Jacobs, that guy over there, all these journalists, we've got to take it all with a pinch of salt, yeah? But we're still going to talk about it because it's information that has been shared with us and given to us. I don't believe this Ole Gunnar Solskjaer thing. Personally, guys, I don't believe it, because I do think this is the guy that they want. And the reason why I think this is the guy that they want is because they've looked at bring back Mourinho. Come on, even I'm saying that's where I draw the line. And I like Mourinho. So even if I'm saying that's where I draw the line, Man United for me, what do you think, guys, Manchester United need in terms of a manager? Do you want a tactician? Do you want a personality? What is it that you guys want when you think about the next Manchester United manager? Because I know what I want. I want a manager that can come in, handle the dressing room, implement a style of football, and has personality. That's what I want. If I can find a manager that ticks all those boxes, I will be on board. I want a manager that can speak to the media in terms of articulate himself, is a likable person, but equally so, I need a manager. I think Man United need a manager right now, a kind of no bullshit manager. Like when you look at Enzo Maresca, for example, Enzo Maresca is a good example. You look at him, he's got personality in his press conferences. He's very direct. He's very there's no room for interpretation when he says stuff in press conferences. People can't twist his words. People can't take his words and kind of rearrange it for their articles, because it's very direct. He said he said yesterday, Maresca said something in a press conference, I think it was yesterday, about Sanchez, about their keeper, and he basically said, I told him to do that, and if he stops doing that, I will take him off. He won't play. Nice and direct. There's no room for misinterpretation, and I think that's what Manchester United need. Manchester United need a guy that can implement, has the ability, has the personality to implement his style and his philosophy and get people to buy into it and improve his players. And you look at the managers that Man United are linked to. You look at Nagelsmann, you look at Xavi, you look at Thomas Frank, you look at Ruben Amorim. That is the 4 names that I probably think we've seen the most. I'll take any manager that doesn't play out from the back. I'm bored to death of the CB passing between each other 30 times before going forward. Jim says a good football philosophy is key. 100%. I think that is the most important thing. But equally so, it's not about having the philosophy. It's also about having the ability to implement it. Because like I say all the time, you can be so smart, right? Like in an academic perspective, guys, you can be a very smart person. But if you can't apply yourself in an exam, all that knowledge that you have is irrelevant. Because you can study, guys. If you do not know exam technique, and this is for everyone that's sat exams, whether you sat GCSEs, A-levels, university exams, professional exams, etc., you know that you can study as much as you want. But if you cannot apply it in an exam, then all that knowledge that you have means absolutely nothing. So yes, a football philosophy is key, but the ability to apply that football philosophy is equally as important, because you're not going to be able to sell something to players and that you're not convincing them of. Like, it's impossible. I think it's remotely impossible. It's definitely impossible. Southgate incoming. You see rival fans are just like, oh, I hope you guys get Southgate now. Dead man walking walks no more. Yeah, he's walking straight to the bank with his 17 million in his back pocket. And can he give me some of that? He should share it with us. You not think Nagelsmann could be too young? The players might not listen to him. I don't think it's about age. I don't think it's about age. We have to accept right now, guys, we are probably in a time and day where managers are getting younger. We're in a generation of football, guys, where managers are getting younger. How old is the Brighton manager? He's only a couple of years older than me, guys. The Brighton manager, he's not that much older than me. I'm sure he's probably younger than a lot of people that are watching this stream right now. Managers do not have to be 55, 60, smoke cigarettes on the touchline. All this, that's not football anymore. Football is evolving. It's only a matter of time. One day we might see a 26-year-old manager. Like, we actually might see a 26-year-old manager. So I don't think age is really a factor. But a lot of you guys are saying personality. M says tactician and personality. Manager has to have a cult of personality. DJ, big up to DJ, says Nagelsmann or Ruben. No other option unless it's McKenna. I don't think McKenna's going to come. I don't think McKenna will be. I don't know. I think he's at Ipswich right now, and he's not that he's doing an amazing job with Ipswich, but I think it would be quite harsh on Ipswich for him to walk out of the job less than midway into the season when they still have something to save in the season, and relegation is not kind of guaranteed for them at any kind of time. Now, for me, INEOS need to be held for for accountability. There actually needs to be some accountability for the decision that Sir Jim Ratcliffe made to keep Erik Ten Hag. Because how can we look past this? They saw this and thought, okay, this is not bad. They saw this and thought, you know what, we're going to give him one more season. Which for me wasted 3 months. Generally speaking, guys, I think this has wasted 3 months of Manchester United season. Look at this is a point tally, by the way. This is points tally since the Alex Ferguson era, so since the 2000s, and look how poor it's been. Look how poor it's been under him. Now, even in his best season, in Erik Ten Hag's first season, we called that his best season, and it was his best season out of the 2.5 seasons that he's had so far. It wasn't even better than a lot of other, well, I'm saying it a lot of other years, but obviously a lot of that is Sir Alex Ferguson. So it'd be unfair for me to compare him to Sir Alex Ferguson. He had the second best season, can I say, post Sir Alex Ferguson. The best season was obviously Mourinho finishing in second place with that Manchester United team. But I do think that the writing was on the wall for Erik Ten Hag. I genuinely think that. And I don't know, man, if some of you guys feel like Erik Ten Hag should have stayed, I want to hear what you have to say. I say that because I think Ruud will ride the waves until the summer. We don't have the financials to make these changes until summer. Let's not forget we have a broke club. It's crazy that everyone is under this impression and this notion that we are a poor club, but yet Manchester United are co-owned by one of the richest men in the country. Like, that is don't you guys find that a bit wild? That Manchester United are co-owned by one of the richest men in this country, in the UK. He is one of the richest people. And yet, we're here penny pinching every single day. Like, I'm not going to lie, guys. I don't feel bad I feel bad for Erik Ten Hag losing his job, right? But INEOS had no problem with sacking normal people like us that make a living working at Manchester United. Normal admin staff, people that work in the stadium. 250 people were sacked because INEOS wanted to penny pinch. They made everyone move from hybrid work to return to office. Some people who can't be able to do that. Yeah, some people can't do that. They can't return to working in the office 5 days a week because of other commitments, health conditions, because of kids, etc. They took away the ability for flexible working, yeah, to penny pinch. Like, let's be realistic. We could talk about all the other stuff, like, oh, they didn't allow, the families of players to go to the FA Cup and blah 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 blah. Okay, cool, fair enough. They were penny pinching, and we also saw that, can I say, in real time this summer when Manchester United, for PSR reasons, were trying to get payments spread out across a number of years because that would work for them in an accounting perspective. They might have the money to pay it in that time, but from an accounting perspective, to avoid any kind of a penalty from the Premier League, they had to get Xerxes payments spread across terms, Ugarte spread over terms, quite a few players transfers spread over terms. And I understand that INEOS also inherited a kind of a shit situation financially for Manchester United. Because, when you think about Ed Woodward, you think about what Ed Woodward would have done. He would have just done, sack this person, deal with it later. Buy this person, I'm going to deal with the financial issues later. I'll deal with the implications later. But like I said at the beginning of the stream, a part of me is a little bit shocked that it took INEOS this long to pull the trigger on the season, because nothing changed, in my opinion, from the Spurs game to the West Ham game. Nothing changed. So you gave the manager some extra time to potentially sort out what the problem is, but nothing changed. And I think a lot of people, I don't know if you guys feel the same, but I feel like a lot more people would have been able to agree with that. They would have been able to agree with that in terms of seeing that nothing's going to change. So why did it take that long to kind of pull the trigger on all of that? Now, Ruben Amorim today kind of downplayed the situation about it. He was asked about, so he had a pre-game press conference today, just a coincidence, and he was asked about the Manchester United job. And he basically said, I'm not going to speak about this stuff when I'm still in the job at Sporting. But he smiled and he kind of laughed about it. This is a guy who, by the way, flew out, where was it, to West Ham on a private jet to meet with West Ham, and they ended up going elsewhere. And then Liverpool kind of walked away from the offer that they had for him. If Ruben Amorim becomes the manager of Manchester United, and I can't lie, guys, I feel like it's a bit difficult to predict who's going to be the manager right now. I look at all the names. I look at all the names that Man United are linked to, Xavi, Ruben Amorim, Thomas Frank, Nagelsmann. I'm going to say Oli because that's a name that has popped up. I look at all those names and I think, which manager is Manchester United actually going to end up with? And I have a question to you guys. How long do you guys want Ruud in the interim job? How long do you guys want Ruud van Nistelrooy to be in the interim job? Do you want him to have as much time as it takes for INEOS to make a decision on a manager and get the right manager? Do you want INEOS to just appoint a manager as soon as possible, a permanent manager ASAP? Or would you prefer Ruud to stay in the job for as long as necessary until INEOS make the right decision? Because I think for me, it's not about making a decision. It's about making the right decision. So if it's not the right manager that you want, then do not pull the trigger on it. It's not worth pulling a trigger on that, in my opinion. I'm happy with Ruud van Nistelrooy being the interim manager for as long as possible, as long as necessary, because they need to make the right decision. They need to make the right. I don't want to see a panicked, like a panicked. I don't want to see a panicked appointment. That's what I don't want to see. Now, equally saying that, I don't want to see the uncertainty. Do you guys see my problem? I don't want to see the uncertainty of what's to come. Like, oh, is it going to be, are we going to have a new manager next month? Are we going to have a new manager by, Christmas? Are we going to have a new manager by the new year? Like, I don't want that. But equally so, I don't want them to just go out and appoint Thomas Frank because he's the only manager that could possibly leave his job right now. And he's on the shortlist. If INEOS is number one, if their number one candidate is Julian Nagelsmann, put all your eggs into that basket and get him. Because until then, Ruud van Nistelrooy will hold down the fort. He'll make sure the kids don't fight. He'll make sure the kids don't, eat each other's snacks. And he'll, most importantly, just has to maintain the ship. He needs to steady the ship or maintain the ship and until somebody comes in to steady it. Now, there is no kind of suggestion to say that Ruud wouldn't keep the job on a permanent. That's another thing that I think we can't look past, is the possibility of Ruud van Nistelrooy being the permanent manager of Manchester United. And then that is where, for me, I feel like everyone's going to be skeptical because they're going to be like, oh, it's like Oli all over again. What if in the coming days they said Ruud will be interim no matter what until end of the season? Is that something you're looking for? That's an answer in itself, right? That means, for me, I would take that. If INEOS said that Ruud will stay the manager until the end of the season, that kind of says to me that the manager that they want is available at the end of the summer or at the end of the season, basically. Number one. Number two, I think it also shows that they're putting time into making the decision. Like, we can look back at the decision they made about Erik Ten Hag, and how long did that take? That was about 2 weeks. I think it was about 2 or 3 weeks. We could say that was a long time. But I think the decision to appoint a new manager should be long, because it's not a decision that you just want to rush. And I said this, like I said this back in the summer when they appointed Ruud. I said, this is what Ruud is going to be appointed for. He's going to be appointed for when this situation happens, inevitably when Erik Ten Hag gets sacked. Because I think everybody kind of knew it was inevitable. We knew that Erik Ten Hag would get sacked at some point in the season. I just don't know how INEOS didn't see that. I'm curious to see how Ruud behaves on the touchline. Well, I saw an article on The Athletic. I think it was on The Athletic or not. I can't remember where it was. But it was kind of saying that Ruud van Nistelrooy, even on tour, it was apparently Ruud van Nistelrooy turned down any media duty, whether it was interviews with like mainstream media, like journalists, whether it was interviews with TV stations. He turned down all of that because he didn't want to take away the spotlight from the fact that he's not the manager and Erik Ten Hag is. Because he felt like if he was perceived more in public, i.e. doing interviews and that, people would start to belittle and undermine Erik Ten Hag and kind of prop him up a little bit. So he chose not to do that. And I don't know if you guys see, but I feel like during games, I don't know if it's because the cameras just pan to him all the time, but the cameras do. TNT, Sky Sports, they know what they're doing. When you're watching a game, they're panning to him all the time. And he's always on the touchline. Him and Ten Hag are very vocal, very involved. You always see him with Erik Ten Hag on the touchline or by himself. or with Rene Hack. You always kind of see him there. And I feel like, I don't want to say that is like it's not like for the cameras or anything. I just think Ruud is a very invested guy. I feel like he's invested in Manchester United because he wouldn't have turned down a job to be a head coach to come and be the second in command at another club. Like, I don't think so. I understand it was Burnley. That was the job that he was offered. But he literally turned down that job to become second in command. Now, I don't know what he was promised. Was he promised to be Man United manager in the next couple of years? I don't know. But all I know is he needs to steady the ship. And whether INEOS decide to make a call next month or they decide to wait 6 months and make a call at the end of the season, they need to make the right call. I think that's the most important thing. Big up to Ridwan dropping some news in the chat for us. Says Amaron may stay with Spoyn until the end of the season. It's understood he has a desire to claim the club's second title in succession, something they haven't done for 20 years. So this kind of not confirms, but it kind of sticks to what I think is going to happen. I think it's going to be a manager who's in a role right now, or it's going to be Nagelsmann. It's going to be one or the other. And if they hold out for, guys, put it in the chat right now, the list of managers that you want, based on the order of the ones that we're linked to right now. So right now we're linked to Nagelsmann, we're linked to Amaron, Thomas Frank, and Xavi. Those 4 managers, yeah, put it below in the chat, 1, 2, 3, 4, which ones you prefer. Because I'll tell you lot my preference. And whilst you lot do that, big up to Riri with the 5 gifted super chats. 5 gifted super chats. I don't know how Show always scumbags. Show always scumbags a membership every single time. But big up to Show, Michael, MC12, Stu, and Don F. All of you lot got memberships. W's in the chat for Riri as well. Make sure you guys use the emojis, use your custom member content as well, and say thanks to Riri as well, the queen that's always given on the channel. And if you want to join the membership club, you can. It's the pinned comment in the chat. You get your badges, you get your emojis, you get your custom member content, and of course, you get to support the growth of the channel. If you want to support the channel in alternative ways, you can by sending in super chats with your comments, with your questions, with your thoughts, or just to show some love. And if you want to support the channel in a simple way, guys, you just hit the like button. You know the rules on the channel. You come in, you wipe your feet, you hit the like button, you say salam to everyone in the chat, and you get involved with the conversation, and you subscribe. You make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you follow me on all platforms. I always do that wrong. Make sure you follow me on all platforms. You can see my @ right there. Follow me on Instagram, guys, because I'm now working with DAZN as a freelance creator. So you're going to be seeing a lot of stuff on Instagram. Unfortunately, it's not on YouTube. It'll be on Instagram. So make sure you guys check it out. Let me see what you guys are saying. M says Xavi, Amaron, Nagelsmann, Frank. You rank Amaron above Nagelsmann. Interesting. One thing I do kind of I'm curious to know. Do you think Manchester United, if they appointed Nagelsmann, for example, do you think Man United will transition to playing a back 3? Because I can't imagine Man United playing back 3. I don't know what it is. I just can't. Maybe I'm too traditional in football where 4-4, it's like 4-4-2 or nothing for me. But obviously, with the back line that they have, they're able to possibly play a back 3 if Lenny Yoro returns back. With Yoro, De Ligt, is it maybe the imprints of Ashworth and them guys that signing Yoro and De Ligt and having Leacher, maybe they were preparing for someone like Nagelsmann or someone that wants to play a back 3. I'm very curious. Big up to Don F with the super chat. Says, as Ice Cube would say, today was a good day. Big up for the super chat, man. I appreciate it so much. Let me see what else you lot are saying in the chat. Big up to Pyramid Scheme. Says Nagelsmann died at Bayern. No time for redemption arcs with the new onward and forward. MC12 says, yeah, I don't think formation matters as long as INEOS believes he plays the style they want. Ridwan says, I forgot about Xabi Alonso. Brother, forget about Xabi Alonso because I don't think United's getting him. Firestar says, Martinez will get sold. He's shit. Damn. All right. Pat Gemini says, Xabi number 1. 2, Nagelsmann. 3, Sebastian Hoeneß. That's a name that we've kind of missed out. But that's a name that's popped up as well over the last month or so. The Stuttgart manager that actually tactically put on a class performance against Juve in the Champions League last week. And I'm going to be real, guys. That's probably like the third Stuttgart game that I've watched all season. I'm going to be really honest. But number 3, Sebastian Hoeneß, 4, Amarov. So no, are you saying no Thomas Tuchel? Are you saying no, not Thomas Tuchel, no Thomas Frank in that list? Antonio says nobody wants the United job. That's why Ten Hag was there so long. They didn't want Ten Hag. I think I agree with that part. There's a lot of people suggesting that people turned down the job in the summer. Nagelsmann turned down the job. They're saying that Amorim turned down the job. Xavi, Alonso. I'm seeing reports that a lot of managers turned down the job. But I think as long as these managers haven't made it clear that they're not willing to leave their club, then it's a free for all, guys. Who's the Sunderland manager? Strong rumors around him from their fans. I know Sunderland are top of the championship right now. Need the Celtics coach, De Zerbi, Amorim, Nagelsmann, Xavi. So it's the same names I'm seeing pop up from you guys. It's the Xavis, the Nagelsmanns, the Xavis. Who's better, Ange or De Zerbi? This is a good debate. This is a good one that we can have a debate about. Did the show say did show drop that name again in the chat? Show, you are shameless. Look, hold on, before I come back to this question, where's this comment? This manager here, guys, is the manager that won the AFCON with Ivory Coast after he was like the backup coach. Who's better, Ange or De Zerbi? I'll say De Zerbi. I will say De Zerbi. But I don't know if you lot will disagree. Now, Carve, you know Carve is having a field day today. Carve at Sky Sports, guys, is having a field day today. He suggested that Kieran McKenna, according to sources, yeah, this comes from Carve at Sky Sports. According to sources, Kieran McKenna is back in the frame for the Manchester United job. Guys, 10 minutes ago, I just said, I don't know if Kieran McKenna would be in the race for the job, because why would he leave Ipswich when they're not completely out of the relegation zone? Like, they're not completely, it's not confirmed they're getting relegated, so why would he jump shit? But it looks like he's popped up again in this list. So that's why I said, yeah, over the next couple weeks, maybe month or so. You know what's crazy, guys? I don't know if you lot remember, but 2 years ago, this is around the time that Ronaldo did the whole bust up with Ronaldo and Ten Hag happened. If I'm not wrong, it was like the end of October, maybe beginning of November. And then I remember they had the whole bust up. He refused to come on against Spurs. He did the sit-down interview with Piers Morgan, la. And then last year, it wasn't the exact time because it happened in September, but this is the time that the whole Sancho thing was happening. And Sancho was exiled from the first team. He was exiled from the canteen. He wasn't even allowed near the first team area at Carrington. He wasn't allowed to train with the team. And then now you fast forward now, Manchester United can't just have a normal winter period. We've always got something happening at Manchester United. And also, can I just say, it looks like the curse of the third season continues. There has been no manager that has stayed past a third season. Every manager gets sacked at the worst in their third season. Every single time. I just hope whoever's the next manager is, that they survive at least the third season. If they can survive through the third season, they might be Manchester United's long-term manager. I don't think we should give the new manager more than a 12-month contract. We've spent too much money on paying out managers after sacking them. I think if somebody like Nagelsmann comes in, for example, I'm sure he'll be looking for something more than a 2-year contract, because he's got a 2-year contract with Germany right now that takes him through the World Cup. So I'm sure he'll look for something that's at least on top of that. But I do think if Manchester United appoint a new manager, I think 2 years is perfect. I think 2 years is good. Kind of first year, you kind of come in and solidify your ground, get stuck in. Second year, you go for the kill. 3 years, I think, might also be all right, because the 3 years is the same. First year is kind of the first year is the learning period. Second year is the, getting your ducks in order, and third year you go for the kill. So I think 2 to 3 years is reasonable. I don't want to see this 5-6 year stuff. United don't do that, but obviously we've seen we've seen Chelsea do that with Maresca. I think they gave him like a 6-year deal or something. It's simple, Minna. We go to Alonso and say, bro, what do you want? And whatever he says, we give. What if he says he wants Real Madrid? I agree, though, that we shouldn't kind of write ourselves off for managers because they might want another club. I just feel like with the way things are going, you know, Xabi Alonso could have auditioned or interviewed for the Liverpool job, but he didn't. I just think that that's his way of saying it's either Madrid or nothing. And with Ancelotti probably going to leave at the end of the season, and Bayer Leverkusen are already preparing for Xabi Alonso to leave, I just feel like it's just written, you know? It's just all written there. Mr. Ipswich Town says, please don't come after McKenna. Right now, I'm not going to lie. I just feel like McKenna could actually be a legit interest. I think he could actually be a legit interest. And the reason why I say that is because I was reading an article today that suggested that McKenna was a candidate for the Manchester United job in the summer, but a Chelsea kind of leak. I don't know if you lot remember, just before the FA Cup, the leak that came out saying that Ten Hag was going to be sacked. It came out because McKenna was holding out for the Manchester United job and Chelsea really wanted him. He ended up signing with Ipswich, but that kind of information makes me wonder, is McKenna a legit interest? Because similar to Ruud van Nistelrooy, McKenna has a slight attachment to Manchester United. And he's got coaching experience. Like me personally, guys, I've already made it clear the kind of manager I want. Now, I watched Ipswich this season, and I think it's more down to the fact that they might not have the personnel for a Premier League kind of run. They don't really have any 2 or 3 players that are real Premier League standouts. But you can't look at Ipswich and think, you know what, this is not a decent coach team. But equally saying that, I would be a hypocrite to say I want McKenna when I'm also saying I don't really want Thomas Frank. Do you guys understand? I think I'd be a hypocrite if I said I wanted McKenna and I don't want Thomas Frank. I look at the managers that United are linked to, and you lot know my stance. Nagelsmann number 1, and then everyone else below that. I just don't know how realistic. I don't know how realistic having Nagelsmann is personally. I just don't know how realistic it is, but I'm hoping it could be on the horizon, you know, because the way that I see it is times have changed, innit? Manchester United can't approach managers anymore and be like, we're Manchester United, come and join us. They can't do that, unfortunately, because Man United don't have that kind of reputation anymore. They got the reputation of sacking a manager every 2 to 3 years. I don't want Frank or McKenna. That's not progressing. I agree. I agree. And that's no criticism to them as coaches. I just don't think that's the kind of coach that Manchester United should be looking at. Yahya says, today I'm just happy Ten Hag is gone. Can't believe it. I'm not going to lie, guys. I woke up this morning and it got to 9 o'clock and I looked at my phone. I thought, okay, nothing yet. Cool. I went about my morning. I ran my errands. I had a doctor's appointment. I was coming back home. I still didn't see the news. Even when it happened, I didn't see the news. I think I saw it like 25 minutes later. Do you think there's some big players who will get benched? I think Ruud van Nistelrooy, obviously, he's got a decent run of games now to get results, right? He's going to need everyone at his best. He's going to need every player at their best. The Brunos, the Rashfords, the Casemiros, the Onanas. He's going to need them at their best. But one thing I'm curious to see is what kind of 11 he fields and whether there's going to be like a complete shift in the lineup. That's what I'm interested to see, because as an interim, I don't think you can I don't think there's a point of making a big shift in your 11, in your formation, etc. if you're just interim. You know what I mean? There's no point putting your complete fingerprints on the team if you're not in the job permanently. But I do think Ruud will he will get a taste of the pie. Like he will make sure the pie is tasting the way he wants it to taste. I think he will. We might see Xerxes and Højlund together if he stays for a couple of games. Like this game coming into Leicester midweek is a perfect game for Ruud, because it's not big pressure. It's not Chelsea. Imagine Chelsea being your first game after your manager's been sacked. This is the perfect game to kind of sniff everything out. and kind of sniff out the players that you want to be involved and the players that you might want to start. And I think Chelsea is the next one. Now let's look at the run of games, because again, there's no kind of news for us in terms of how long Ruud van Nistelrooy is going to be the manager. This is the run of games that we have. Yeah, we got Leicester on Wednesday, we got Chelsea on Sunday, then we got Panathinaikos next week Thursday. So United are playing every 3 to 4 games. Every 3 to 4 days. Sorry, they're playing a game. But it's Panathinaikos and then it's Leicester again. That's a quick turnaround. So those and then Ipswich Town. That's 5 games, guys, where your biggest team that you're playing is Chelsea. Chelsea, who's in good form. If Man United can go on a run in these games, get a result against Leicester twice, get a result against Ipswich, get a result against Panathinaikos, even if they draw to Chelsea, I don't think Ruud van Nistelrooy's time as an interim will be tainted that much, because he got results in 4 out of 5 games. If he can go on and win all 5 games, that would be even better. But essentially for me, my priority for Ruud is just to steady the ship. Whether he's going to be the captain of the ship or not, that's a different question. But the most important thing right now in the month of November, and with the games that they have in November ahead of what is coming up in December, the best thing to do is just steady the ship. If Manchester United can go on a run of at least 3, 4, 5 games and win, then just continue to see how it goes. It's as simple as that. Because I still think there's parts of the season that is salvageable in terms of the Premier League. I don't think top 4 is completely out the realm of possibility, but I do think United need to take every Premier League game as it comes and every game as a big game. Every game needs to be looked at as a 3 points or nothing. Is he going to be the assistant for the new manager? We don't know. We have no idea. We really have no idea, but we just know that he's going to be the interim. And it's funny because none of Erik Ten Hag's coaching staff is leaving with him, by the way, because they got rid of his entire coaching staff. So all of the coaching staff that have been with Erik this season are all staying. It's funny how it works sometimes, guys. It's funny how it works. But listen, guys, big up to everyone. Be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe. If you've been here the entire time and you haven't hit the like button, guys, don't be a disgrace. Don't be a disgrace. But I am late for the Straight Jacket podcast live on Saeed's channel. So don't go anywhere, because this will redirect you. Me, Nuruddin, Musa, Saeed. They're all happy, but Nuruddin's not happy about this, guys, because he's still on INEOS watch. Nuruddin has been consistent all the time with his views. So make sure you lot come over there. Like I said, it will redirect you because I think the stream has already started. But big up to everyone. Be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe. I'm trying to get Marcel on the channel. If it's not today, it will be tomorrow. But we'll see, because I really want to see how Marcel's feeling about everything. But big up to everyone. Like I said, I hope you have a wonderful evening and come over to Saeed's channel where we'll be live, guys. I'm out. Peace.